Okay friends, it has been a while since we have done a true country porch chat. Today I'm doing one of those assumption videos. I have seen these going around YouTube and I thought, hey, this is a fun spin on doing some Q&As. So the videos that are going around is when viewers write in, and that's what I asked for in my Insta stories. I said, message me in my Instagram Messenger, let me know what are some of your assumptions about me. I'll read them. It'll be lots of fun, hopefully, and kind of answer, and I'm sure do lots of chit chat based on those assumptions. The first assumption says that I love the baby stage. I do. I love the baby stage. I love all the stages. I even love having teenagers. Every stage is neat and special and has different aspects that it offers. So honestly, I just love all the stages. I think the hardest stage is that stage that Benjamin is just now getting ready to go into. It's like that 2 to 3 year old stage where they can't tie their own shoe. They deal with a lot of frustration. There's a lot of things they want to do and they can't do. It's also, I've always heard that's like the most dangerous time to be alive is that early toddlerhood stage, because you know they're also risk takers. So you got to keep an extra eyeball on them during that time. So from my years of being a mama, I think that early toddlerhood stage can be difficult. One mama said, and I've received this assumption probably 10 different ways, but she just says, I assume you get no sleep. So my gift to myself is sleep, and I sleep. I get 7 to 8 hours a night. Now, if we don't go to bed till midnight, I'm not getting up till 7 or 8. If I can go to bed by 9, then I can get up at 5. My body works well. 8 hours is my key. Anything less than 7, I have that hazy zombie feeling for a while. I think I usually need at least 2 cups of coffee on that day. Anyway, but no, I get sleep. That is my gift to myself. Now, when I first started blogging as a hobby, and then that turned into a business 8 years ago, that is the time where I was burning the candle at both ends, and I was lucky to get 6 hours of sleep at night, and that's why vlogging is a gift. Another assumption is, she says, you're very friendly and are an extrovert. I like to think I'm friendly, and yes, I'm extroverted. Now, I'm extroverted. There are times when I have a little introverted tendencies. I'm trying to think when those are. Usually, I have to push myself, like in new situations. When I'm meeting new people, if I'm at a conference or an event, I am pushing myself on the inside to go out and introduce myself and make new friends. If there's people I already know, I naturally gravitate towards them. That just may be a normal thing, but that's a little like where some extroverts will go and talk and introduce themselves and, you know, forcefully, I am here, you know, I don't do that. Another assumption says you were homeschooled yourself. Absolutely not. I had a full public school education, and that's part of why I homeschool. I'm all for parents choosing what they feel is best for their children, whether that's homeschooling or public school or private school. Homeschooling wasn't an option when I was a kiddo. My mom says now if she would have known more about it, she would have done it, because I was miserable in public school. Basically, if you look up the list of all the awful things that can happen to a kid in public school, you know, I was bullied, I was ridiculed, I was shamed, I was educationally neglected in public school. You know, I've dealt with all of it in public school, and it was an awful experience for me. I have other friends, other mamas, other people I know, they had a great experience. For me, I was in some of the best public schools in the country, and then also some of the most rural public schools in the country, so I really experienced the full gamut. I also had a small stint in private school, so whenever we became parents, I was quickly looking into private schools in the areas where we lived, and then I met a few crazy people who were doing this thing called homeschooling. I started researching it. I'll link down my whole Why We Homeschool video down below. I did that one several years ago, but nothing's changed with it, so I won't refilm all that right now. All that to say, I was definitely not homeschooled, but I'm very thankful for the choice and the opportunity and the freedom to give my children the homeschooling experience. Another mama said, you never run out of energy. And I did receive this assumption a lot of different ways, that I have limitless energy or always have energy, and for the most part, I am a high energy girl. My mom is a high energy lady. I think we come from a long line of high energy folks. I have to have my sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night. 8 hours is better. And as long as I have my sleep, and if I can start my day with a happy cup of coffee or two, I'm good to go. Whenever I'm in a pregnancy, like whenever I'm dealing with a pregnancy, I usually need to sneak in an afternoon nap somewhere. I go to bed earlier. All of that is in different pregnancy vlogs. But whenever I'm not pregnant, as long as I get my sleep at night, ready, set, go, ready to go. One mama said, one of your mama treats is to paint your nails pretty colors, and you can't tell that by today, but I use those Sally Henson quick dry nail polishes. I discovered that when Jaden was a baby. Before I was a mom, I would paint my nails a different color, like every day before college or before work. I would do my nails a different color every day. You got time for stuff like that when you're 19, 20 years old, right? But once I became a mama and once he started really running around, I discovered those instant dry. They still take a few minutes to dry, but I think I've got 10 different colors right now. So yes, that is one of my mama treats. Another mama said you don't get super sick during pregnancy and you have pretty easy births. So yes, I have not had morning sickness through any of my pregnancies. Also, my mom didn't have morning sickness with me. I call it extreme fatigue. Again, I need a nap, I need more sleep at night. I sleep a lot, especially during the first trimester. And Travis and I tag team and just juggle extra during that season, but I don't deal with any major sickness. I do have more aches and pains. I didn't know this with early pregnancies, but now I can go to the chiropractor and get an adjustment, and there's some more holistic things to implement to keep my body feeling decent. I don't deal with a lot of morning sickness when I'm pregnant. And then pretty easy births. Well, childbirth is childbirth, no matter where you are, anywhere in the world. And I will link a video down in the description below where I share birth stories. I share the birth story for each of our children and my different birth experiences. If you don't know, my first 6 babies were born in a hospital setting. I think I had Pitocin with most of them because they just gave that to me whether I liked it or not. What else did we do? We did epidurals with all of them. You know, they were just a typical hospital birthing experience. My last 2 babies, number 7 and number 8, I had at a natural birthing center because that's now available in our area. And I mean, that was just raw, real birth. The last 15 minutes, I was just like a wild woman. You know, childbirth is childbirth, but I have not had any major complications during birth. That is not something I've dealt with thus far in life, but I have birthed my babies the good old-fashioned way and the way being tied down with stuff at the hospital. Okay, another mama said, I assume you grew up in a Christian home. Is that correct? My mom and dad were not Christians when they had me. They were good people, right? Okay. And then I want to say when I was about, I'm going to say 3, but it might have been a little earlier, my mom and dad found Jesus, got saved, had a great salvation experience. We got into a little country church. I feel I have lived my whole life knowing Jesus. I remember loving Jesus from a very young child. I have been through some very, very radical experiences, and some of those might come out with some of these assumptions. I've been through a lot of radical stuff. I've been through some horrific situations. I've been through some beautiful situations. I know that my mom's great legacy, no matter what we went through, is that she taught me Jesus is the only way. And mamas, if there's no other legacy that we can live or pass on to our children, let it be that. I assume you spend good quality one-on-one time with each of your children. I feel like we're a very connected family. We spend a lot of family time together as a family. And then Travis and I both look for opportunities. Like Travis is going to Lowe's for some bolts he needs to fix a stand for me today, and he's taken Daniel. And him and Daniel will ride to Lowe's. They'll go into Lowe's. I'm sure they'll get a treat, go through Sheets for a cookie or something on the way home, and they'll come back. So like all parents, we're just regular parents, you know, we just look for ways to carve out that time. I do usually take 1 or 2 children out shopping with me. I get out shopping a few times a month, you know, by my videos. I also take children on different business trips with me. Last year I went to Dallas. Zion went with me to Dallas. This fall I had to go to Florida. Naomi went with me to Florida. Jaden's been to California with me a few times. So I look for, obviously, those really awesome blessing experiences. This mama says, You do not have a lot of friends just because you do not have enough time to meet and talk. And you would never let someone down as a friend. I don't know about not letting someone down. Many times I'm the mama who's late. But I feel like I have a lot of friends in real life. I can think of 4 close mama friends. We became good friends back when our oldest children were young, and we have cultivated those friendships over time. And then our homeschool group that we've been involved in for 13 years, you know, families come and go, but there are, I'm gonna say 5 or 6 families in there that we continue to cultivate those relationships and get to know more and more. And then of course there's church friends and church family. With my like core close personal 4 girlfriend club, we'll call it, those mamas and I, we have to on purpose put that time in because we all run businesses, or some work outside the home, or you know, have lots of kids across the spectrum. And so one of my girlfriends, when I was in the hospital the other week with a family member, she met me down in the cafeteria and we caught up for about 2 hours. I have another good friend in that core group, and her and I are going to somehow this coming week, we're going to pick a time. So I don't see them daily. Sometimes it might be once a month. Sometimes it might be more in a setting when we get all our kids together. This is bonus info for you. I have been getting so many questions. Again, it like cycles through. Everyone wants to know lipstick color, eye color, mascara. So for all you ladies asking that, I am a drugstore mama queen. Really, it's more like a Walmart makeup queen, okay? So the lipstick that I'm wearing, it's just a Revlon. See that? And this is called HD Dawn. It's number 705. It's Revlon, and it's just one of those little lipsticks. That's the shade I've been wearing in recent videos. And then I sometimes put this pink tint lip gloss on top of it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to focus. And this is a L'Oreal. It is a lighter shade. It says 105 Petal. For mascara, I have been using this. It's CoverGirl Lash Last Volume. I do not have false eyelashes on right now, but sometimes, like when I get to go out grocery shopping, I get to wear my false eyelashes. Then you know it's a big day, right? So these are just my regular old eyelashes, and this is the CoverGirl mascara. I do use an eyelash curler. Okay, so back to our assumptions. I assume you are a super happy mom most of the time and never get tired of having so many children. So I do feel like I'm happy and joyful much of the time. Of course, Jesus is my secret weapon with that. And yes, I do not get tired of having so many children. They are a blessing, and I feel blessed to know them and to be their mama. Another mama said, I assume you're a very friendly person, the type of person who would help anyone you could. I think I'm friendly. I'm pretty peppy. I do like to help people. Another mom says that I go to bed last in the house. It honestly just depends on whatever routines and systems I'm currently cycling through. I don't think there's ever a schedule that we can find and develop and hold fast that that's the way it will always be. Things will never change. Things and family needs, everything changes and grows and develops over time. Yes, there are days where I may be the last one to go to bed in the house, but there's also days where I'm the first one to go to bed. I'm like, Mom's done, here's your kids, Dad. I'm going to lay down and watch House Hunters. But many times Travis is the last one to go to bed. Okay, so another mama said, and this is more of a question, but you get some Q&As in here. She said, my question is about your mom. Since she has no siblings and she lives far from her only child and her many grandchildren, doesn't she feel sad and lonely and missing out? So I don't talk a whole lot about other family members pretty much besides me, but I think in some of these questions some little tidbits about my mama will come out. So my mom is not an only child. She does have siblings. I'm an only child. My mom does have a home several hours away, but she's also doing one of those fun tiny house things on a property that's not too far away. Even if we end up moving, we'll still be within the general vicinity. About every 6 weeks, my mom comes for at least a week. And many times she travels with us, and she's super involved in a lot of things. So she works hard to make sure she's not missing out. Someone else said, your father has passed away. Yes. my dad did pass away. So I do have different assumptions and questions about my childhood. So I guess I just need to give you quick cliff notes, because we also had the assumption where someone thought I was homeschooled. Another mom says, I assume that you are a woman of deep faith, that the Lord has guided through some rough times. This is sad to say. So this is where leaving a legacy is important. My father was an alcoholic, so much of my childhood was my mama and I trying to survive and live through the ups and downs and instabilities. We would have times at night when my dad would come home drunk from the bar in the middle of the night, and I would wake up very young, I mean younger than Daniel, 2, 3 years old, wake up to hear him trashing the house, breaking the furniture, throwing furniture around. And so we lived through a lot of that. He was never physically abusive, but he was a very angry alcoholic. One of the assumptions I received was I must not have had a lot growing up because I'm very frugal-minded now. My mom is a horse professional by passion. She's always raised and trained Arabians. My mom at 70 years old this year is riding side saddle in the Kentucky Derby parade in an outfit that she has hand sewn herself. So creative woman there. Anywho, we would have times where we would have everything. We would have the horse farm. We would have what we needed. We'd have times where we were living in a camper without heat and water and walking across hundreds of acres just to get to our vehicles to go to school and work. So there's a lot of messy things. But no matter what, I knew I had my mom. I knew I had Jesus. I knew my dad was sick. Let me say this. I am sharing this from a whole and healed heart. There's several verses in the Bible that reference what is meant for evil that God can use for good. When I was 13, my father committed suicide when I was home alone with him, and I found him dead. I know you weren't expecting to hear that, and I know that's hard. I know me even saying that, it's hard. That is not what things should have been, but that is what things are. That's the reality of it. And so the reason I'm tearing is just more of, it's sad when a person gives up, because, and I even tell my children this, I believe that Jesus has a plan for me and for you to walk out for his glory. And I believe there's also a plan for destruction. And we have to choose. It says in the Bible, I set before you life and death, choose life. Every day we have to choose life. And so it does bring the tears when I think about, it's just sad when other choices are made. I guess I'm not to a point where I can share an in-depth video about that. My mom and I just had a lot of, again, rock and roll stuff to deal with, and she made the very best choices she could in the circumstances that she was in. And like I say, I cycle it all back to my mom's legacy for me as her daughter is that she taught me Jesus was the only way. Okay, and then the last one, I have this question probably 50 times, is so many moms are saying that I'm the most patient mom ever, and I never raise my voice at my children, and I always have the proper tone. And I am not a perfect mom. My kids aren't perfect kids. My husband's not a perfect husband. Our home isn't a perfect home. We all do the very best we can with the Lord's help. I will say that the times where I find myself raising my voice, being impatient, having a rushed tone, even hollering loudly, is when I haven't had enough sleep, I haven't had enough water, and I've had too much caffeine. And I wrote a blog post many years ago that's called, I don't want to be an angry mom, so I threw away the coffee pot. And I was just in a season where I was finding myself getting up in the morning, drinking a lot of coffee, not eating. That particular article I wrote after we were rushing to church, and caffeine can really stress you out, wig you out. And so I did holler at my children that morning while we were stressed and trying to get ready and get out the door and get clothes on and get, where's your shoes and all of that, and get in the van and we're going to be late, all that pressure. And then that day, and I felt so bad, I came home and I threw my coffee pot away, and I shared the story in there. And so I've learned through those experiences, I have to watch my caffeine intake and at least drink some water or have a little protein or something with it, so I don't set myself up to be like an angry, triggered mom. Besides that, Travis and I were just talking the other night, you know, we really should put in an intercom system. If I ever do move again, ladies, it'll be fascinating to see. Like right now, I think I want a big ranch style house that's on a basement, but all the living is in one area, because I am always downstairs calling up loudly for children to hear me who are upstairs. Now, I'm not hollering, I'm not angry, but I am projecting my voice. And then I feel like we're just like all hollering upstairs, downstairs all the time. And yeah, I got baggage like all of y'all out there. We all got our stuff that we've dealt with and we've had to walk through. And so thank you for hanging out at different places on my porch over 2 different days this week and us chatting this out. I will gladly talk with you in the comments below. And I hope you're still my friends now that I've peeled some more layers for you. And I'll see you real soon with another brand new video. Bye bye.